You're watching Alaska's high-definition news leader. This is the KTVA 11 Evening News.
For the Kuskokwim River, it's the third season of sacrifice where king salmon numbers hit a record low last year. And this summer's run appears to be headed in the same direction.
KTVA 11's Rhonda McBride joins us now with more on the crisis of the kings. Rhonda.
Families all up and down the Kuskokwim depend on the fish to survive through winter. But the fish racks are empty and people are facing hunger.
You are listening to Talkline, an open format where the public has the opportunity to voice their points of view.
We had about half the kings that we usually catch. Scary.
Anxiety on the airwaves heard up and down the Kuskokwim.
We love our kings, but are we going to love them to death?
It's really hard to adapt to any other food than what they're used to.
The river has been closed to king salmon fishing since May 20th.
It's going to be a real difficult June.
For as long as Bev Hoffman can remember, her family has always dried and smoked king salmon.
Normally, our family will put up 80 kings, and so maybe we had 4.
That was last year.
None the year before.
For now, the fish racks are being used to hang sled dog harnesses.
This usually has fish hanging.
The richness of years past, hard to appreciate unless you see what's missing, a loss that's even harder to talk about.
It's just such a I think everybody here wants to see more sacrifice out there. We're not allowed to fish.
It's not easy, but it's Bev Hoffman's job as co-chair of an advisory group for state and federal managers to keep tempers in check. Senator Mark Begich sat in on a special meeting of the group.
It gets lonely out here when we need someone with authority to talk to.
Members up and down the river told the senator the burden of conservation falls too heavily on the people here and not enough on trawlers out in the ocean.
We need to find out what's happening in the oceans and what can be done at that level.
When you put the users together, there's only one that survives on the food, in the sense that when you open your door, your grocery store is not in a building, it's in the water.
But for now, it's up to those who live along this river to save the salmon.
In order for you to understand the enormity of it, you have to be affected, you have to see it firsthand.
Alaska Native leaders say it's hard to comprehend the social and economic consequences of empty fish racks along the entire length of the river.
Just go to Sagaya's and see what you're selling king salmon for and put a dollar value on 80 fish times an average of 30 pounds.
So here we are at New Sagaya's, and we do want to point out that the kings here were caught in Southeast where they're not endangered. Now, a net caught fish runs around $12 a pound. So you take a 30-pound fish, that runs about $360 a fish. If you multiply that by 80 fish, which is what it would take to feed an extended family, that adds up to almost $29,000. In a normal year, more than 80,000 kings are taken from this river for subsistence, $29 million in food value alone. But for many, the worth of a full rack of fish has no price tag.
We feel helpless out here out in the bush. A lot of people feel helpless.
And we need to all stick together through it. It's not good. It's going to be hard.
I've been asking people on Facebook to send me their photos from fish camp. Now, we have one from Eek at the mouth of the Kuskokwim River, sent to us by George Alexi. Now, this rack would be half full about this time of the year. In a normal year, there would be enough fish on this rack to feed 2 or 3 families. Typically, George Alexi says that his family puts away about 150 kings. In the last 2 years, though, they've been getting less than a third of that amount.
Wow, Rhonda, so how is this king crisis being managed this year?
very differently from years past. Normally, the state is in charge of navigable waters, but the federal government has taken over subsistence management between Aniak and the mouth of the Kuskokwim, a 200-mile stretch of river. The feds are allowing what they call a cultural and social fishery, one in which 1,000 kings are to be caught and distributed to communities along the river. And we'll have more about that tomorrow.
All right, very interesting. Thanks, Rhonda.